Good day and welcome. I am Kathleen with the Game of Life. and I wanted to jump on here because for over a year now, I've been writing correspondence and notices to American Water. And it's not to American Water because as you learn and dive into the truth, you'll discover that, obviously a company is soulless. It's a shell, right? Because a company is nothing. It's a piece of paper like this. The company has no power, just like the government has no power. It is actually the men and women. And this should, I'm hoping, make complete perfect sense. It's the men and women, the living souls that actually bring a company to life, right? Because it is through their actions that a company operates. It's through their actions that it functions, that it delivers the services, the resources, or whatever you're being provided. It is their decisions and solely their decisions that are accountable. And so they try to hide by hold harmless and different things, but they do have a fiduciary duty to all mankind to be an honor and do no harm. And when any man or woman, because we're all equal, any man or woman chooses of their free will to take a title, be it governor or president or CEO or CFO, whatever the title, it's irrelevant. When they take on a title, it has a fiduciary duty to serve mankind. Their first shareholder is mankind, all mankind, not some. And so if their services, say American Water, who publicizes that they serve 14 million living souls, then they have a fiduciary duty, they being the leadership, the board members, the shareholders, anyone that's making any decision, could be the scientist. They have a sacred duty to uphold and to ensure that whatever they are performing, they don't get to blame and shame and say, well, so-and-so told me to put poison in the water. Well, that's nice. Did you question so-and-so about the legitimacy of the poison? So what I'm saying here is the leaderships in all of us have a role when we're in a title to uphold ourselves, to be an honor, and to do no harm. And in order for us to do that, it's questioning. So for example, when I was at Pfizer and I questioned the 50% population reduction chart, it was my duty to question that. It was removed from the training, and then I could go and agree to the training. So when you question, things can happen depending on how you're questioning it. So what I teach, what I have used is natural law. I use and invoke, claim, and declare my rights as a living soul, because as a citizen or a person, as a resident, as an individual, natural person, if you look up the definitions of all of those are basically entities. Those are not living. They are a piece of paper, just like the soulless company. You think you're the name, Kathleen Ramsey. I am not the name. I am I. I am living. And I know if you haven't dove into this could be like, well, what's the difference between the name and the living? Huge, actually. It's what I teach about. That's what a lot of us, a lot are teaching right now. Huge, because the name is not you. And so if you're not aware of that, watch some of my other videos and some other videos. But as a living, when a man or woman, it makes sense, right? You're living, we're all living. And then we take a title, and now we have a fiduciary duty to serve mankind to the utmost. So we have a duty to make sure that there isn't poison in the water. Why I'm bringing this up is because I have been writing American Water and put them on notice that, hey, I just want some information. I have the right for this information, not just for myself, but for the 14 million that they serve. And that information is just a list of evidence that the chemicals that they put in there, the forever chemicals, the fluoride, the chlorine, the extended chlorine during a 2-month period, that they have done the necessary drug discovery. I was in drug discovery. You would obviously want to do drug discovery to ensure that the chemicals, when mixed together, are safe and effective. Now, a chemical for me and a chemical for someone on a lot of medicines, I could have a different chemical reaction, or the chemicals that they're putting in the water for an infant who's getting bathed and washed and all that, maybe having formula through the water would be different as well. And this is part of drug discovery. Because you're testing different age groups, you're testing different races, actually, because they can have a different effect. So there's a lot of things that go into drug discovery. And if American Water is indeed putting chemicals into the water, I think it is mankind's, and especially the 14 million souls that they serve, to give us evidence that they have done their due diligence. And so I'm going to read you a little bit of a notice that I have to them. So what they tried to do, the leadership, the attorneys, when they responded, were like, oh, we wash our hands. We don't have to do it. We follow EPA. Well, I'm sorry. That doesn't alleviate you from being an honor. It doesn't alleviate you from having a duty to know and doing it anyway. So we can't keep passing the buck off to someone else. And then the EPA, I was really nice of them to allow me to bring the EPA into my notices, which I did. And then I alert the vice president and a few others of their fiduciary duties as well. So just to read part of it, because they're trying to skirt tail it and blame and shame other people, right? And so here's what I wrote is, I, a woman, Kathleen, stand in honor and speak directly to each man or woman named herein, acting as an agent, because they're an agent for the principal, American Water, in this case, or EPA would be the principal. And agent means whatever title role they have. So if it's the president, the CEO, the board member, the shareholder, CFO, whatever title that is, they are acting in an agent capacity. So each agent is hidden, is not hidden behind an office, title, or corporate mask when harm flows through the hands of the agent. Does that make sense? So they don't get to say, hey, I've got this title, and so I don't have to worry about the harm that's being done. If harm's flowing through your hands, you are accountable. And it's time for us, all of us, to join together and hold each other accountable and hold our leaders, whether it's in government, which is overreaching, or companies, which is overreaching, accountable. Now, I don't know if American Water, one of the richest companies around, is if the leaders and the board members and the shareholders are actually receiving bonuses from pharmaceutical companies. They could be receiving major bonuses for the chemicals that they're adding. I also know that my bill went up, and I asked for clarification as why my bill went up, because I don't personally want to pay for their chemicals, especially if the leadership's getting bonuses. Can you see the conflict of interest going on? And I'm not saying it is, right? I'm just asking, for clarification, because I have the right. As a living soul, I have rights. As a citizen or a person or whatever, I don't. And I'm happy to discuss that with anyone that says living souls have no rights, or it's a bunch of whatever. As a living soul, you have rights. As a citizen, you do not. You have privileges and benefits, and it's an exchange for your rights. So I'm going to keep going on. Each agent is not hidden behind an office, title, or corporate mask when harm flows through the agent's hand. Each agent's first duty to mankind is to do no harm, to stand in honor, and to act as the trustee of the life and well-being of all agents that serves. It is no defense to say we as an agent follow EPA guidelines. For a guideline is not a shield against dishonor or harm or trespass. A fiduciary duty requires full transparency, due diligence, and care for each soul affected. 14 million customers equals 14 million souls. The infant, the elder, the sick, the animal, the plant, and the earth itself are all affected by their water. Agent cannot contract away agent's sacred duty. No statute, code, title, policy, procedure excuses neglect of mankind, as mankind is your original shareholder. First in time, first in right. It's a maxim principle. All mankind is equal to each other. We're all equal, all of us. Don't care what your skin color or hair color is. It's irrelevant. As living souls, we're all equal. When a man takes a title, such as president, CEO, CFO, board, or shareholder, such title is of man's free will and choice, and that man or woman has a fiduciary duty to ensure and protect all mankind, earth, and nature. Silence in the face of harm is estoppel. And then when I quote, and I do quote some case law behind that, I do it in brackets because in legalese, it's not really there. So you're showing that you're going into the matrix of the legal system and you're showing it, but it's not part of the message. So you're showing it by backing their system, by showing them where they're in dishonor, by their own matrix, by their own system. In this case, I quoted Cammy and Bowen 6-4, as an apple, 932, and that dates back to 1906. To conceal or delay is fraud. That's Fisher, brackets, Fisher Controls International versus Gibson, and that's 911 SW 2D 135, and that's 1995. Equity declares, he who seeks equity must do equity. In order for me to do this, I do stand, if you see someone harming another and you do nothing, you are doing the act itself. That's how it rolls. And so when I am an advocate for child abuse, so if I see someone abusing a child, I have a duty to report that. And when you see someone putting poison in, and you're doing the job, but you want to keep your job, I comprehend that completely and totally. But you have a duty to question what safeguards have been put around this poison. What drug discovery have you done to ensure that this is not actually harming? And they should want to be transparent, right? Why would you not want to be transparent? I mean, aren't your own family members affected by that? Aren't your own loved ones affected by that? And so it would seem to me this is obvious, Captain Obvious, but sometimes money gets in the way. Sometimes pride gets in the way. Sometimes in order for you to rise up within a company and have certain positions, maybe you negotiated deals that weren't for the best interest of mankind. If that is the case, it's time to step down. And then you alleviate your worries on whoever you're obligated to. So it's called selling your soul. In other words, so agents stand now as trustee, and where a trustee fails, equity enforces remedy. I and all living men and women, such as the customers, 14 million, are in fact the beneficiary. So when a company is providing a service, it's kind of a trust relationship. You're trusting them. We put our faith in their actions to be of honor and goodwill. And we thought that we could trust, and we blindly thought this, right? Because we were conditioned and programmed through the public school system and the government. And there's a book I have over here called The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, because we have, no offense, been all dumbed down. We have been programmed and conditioned and reinforced to just hand your power over and trust blindly, right? So now it's time to take that power back and go, wait a minute, because it's a game of life. And so I'd like to level up in this game, and I'd like to start holding those in these title positions accountable. And that's part of the game. It's not something, it's actually honorable, because otherwise you're condoning it, because silence is consent. So you're saying, hey, go ahead and poison us, put poison in our food, water, air. And I'm just going to complain on Facebook because I'm a ward of the state. I don't have the conscious ability to stand up for myself, to speak up for myself. What I do is I teach you that writing these kinds of notices and correspondence, I usually do correspondence first, like, yo, Joe, CEO, or Susan Hardwick, or whoever, of American Water, or whatever the company may be, whatever the title role is. Are you aware? Can you provide evidence the safe and safety of maybe the chemicals that you're adding into the water supply, or the air, whatever company it be, or the food or anything like that. It's learning how to hold them accountable because it's our duty to join together and do this. So when I write one notice, it may not have the same effect as when 100 join or 1,000 or 10,000. I am offering, it's coming out, it's rolling out. It's right now in my group, it's to my members only. I'm beta testing it with them, but I'm going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks a monthly call or a weekly call that I'm going to have. It's called The Missing Link, where we come together, we comprehend who we are, we go through methods and tools to help us stand up to courage and raise our vibration up to courage so that we can write notices like this, and we can write them together, and we can have an impact to hold these bad actors, if you will, accountable. And I'm not saying that Susan or anybody else is a bad actor. All I'm saying is, hey, it's a duty. I'm just communicating as in honorable, because one of the lost arts in our society is communication. This is a way that we can open up the communication and give them the opportunity to cure any remedy, or just say, no, hey, we've done this due diligence. We have been in honor and we actually do the study, but thanks for bringing this up because maybe we could do some more studies. Now that would be a conversation that would be honorable, would it not? And they have a duty to do that to be transparent and to show us, yep, here's all the studies. Now, I will say that they're going to tell you, we have the studies online. You can just go look at them. Those studies fail drug discovery. Those studies don't show the chemical reactions onto the human soul, onto the body, the physical body, onto the mindset, like fluoride, calcifying your pineal gland. What studies, what evidence can they show that it doesn't do that? What evidence can they show that the skin, being the largest organ of the body, is not actually, the chemicals aren't creating cancer? What if I use certain lotion with that water? What if I'm on a certain drug, say a diabetes drug or a heart drug or a blood thinner? Will that chemical that's in the water have a negative effect? And could that effect cause skin cancer? Is it more likely to do that? Or any other kind of cancer? Maybe it's internal cancer, because once your hand is washing, those chemicals are absorbed, I think, in less than 30 seconds, could be 10 seconds. And that's the study that they should know and do. And they should have videos kind of like this saying, hey, we are going above and beyond. Why? Because they make a lot of money, number one, and they get a lot of money from the chemical companies. Why are they not using frequencies? And when I say frequencies, scalar energy, right? You have light therapy, you have the red light therapy, the blue light therapy, you have the energy enhancement systems, you have frequency through scalar energy, and frequencies like Tesla and Einstein and others said is the medicine of the future. It's actually what can bring our frequency internally back in. Why are they not using essential oils like peppermint to erode the system instead of chlorine and inducing it? So it's to the point literally that it burned my eyes and my dogs would not drink it from the faucet. Now I do pay extra. Thank you, American Water. I do pay extra, and I think I am due a reimbursement for the distilled water for us to drink. And then I add in our minerals for that. So it's just becoming aware of how to speak and how to write and do it in honor and compassion. These leaders, whether they're in government and politics or leaders within large companies, may or may not comprehend the programming that's been done to them. So let's just remind them with a heart of compassion. In my classes, I do teach how to work through any anger, because there can be anger and frustration and blame and shame. We're not blaming them. We're helping to teach them to stand in honor. We're helping to bring them back in to the original frequency of integrity, ethics, and morals. And it's our duty. And besides, it's all a game. So let's have some fun. Write some notices together. Join me. My website is www.thegameoflife101.com. I hope you'll find some value in this. If you do, subscribe, like, share, and let me know. Give me some feedback. And also my Telegram group is live, and that's where I'm the most active. So join me there. And until next time, roll the dice in the game of life and have some fun. Thanks.